Has been started.
All right. So what do you need to start the session?
Okay. Yes. Thanks everyone for joining. And this is our first session of StudioX series. And myself, Nidhi Chaturvedi, and I'm UiPath MVP and an RPA developer. Our today's agenda is to see how we can do the word automation and we can use the recording feature of StudioX to automate your day-to-day tasks that are repetitive and manual and that are very simple and straightforward. Starting with the word automation in StudioX. So as we said that if you're doing a day-to-day task, which is manual and which is repetitive and which is simple and straightforward, and that also involves Microsoft Word, then you can actually automate it using the StudioX. Further, we will see what is word card in StudioX that helps you to automate the word related task. Then we'll see what are the activities available in StudioX, which helps you to automate. And then we'll be creating a live robot to automate one of the use case. So now let's jump to the StudioX. So most of you would have been familiar till now the StudioX panel. This is a workflow designer where we create the automation workflows, where we tell the robot what are the sequence of steps to be performed and in what sequence. So this is where we'll be creating a workflow for the robot. And coming to the activities panel, as we discussed earlier in the earlier sessions as well also. So since StudioX helps you to automate various applications, so based on the area of applications, all of these activities has been categorized under the different cards. So if you come here, you can see the word card. So all your activities that helps you to automate word are actually grouped together in this particular card. So this is what we actually call this as a word card. So now in this, we can see there are again subcategories called resources and the actions. Coming to the resources, you can see there's one resource called use word file. So resources, again, as we discussed earlier, helps you to establish the connection with the application. So before you automate a particular word file or before you interact with the word file, you have to establish the connection or tell the robot where to perform the actions. So this is why you use the resources, and if you are interacting with the word file, and you will be using a word file resource. Again, on that particular word file, what are the actions or the activities that you can perform are actually listed here. So these are the very frequent activities that you can do. For example, adding a picture, appending a text, inserting a table into a document, reading the text, again, saving the document in different formats, and setting the bookmark content. So these are the very frequent activities that you can perform while you are automating your Microsoft Word related tasks. So this is more about a kind of tour of the word related activities and the StudioX. Let's come to the use case that we are trying to automate. Yeah, so we will be creating a robot where the use case is create multiple Word documents from a template file and populate them with data from the different sources. So we'll have a Word document which will act as a template file. And in that particular Word document, we will be putting data from different sources. And these different sources will be an Excel file and a text file. So in your Word file, you will be putting values from the different sources and saving it further. Let's see all the files related to our automation task. If you go to your project folder, this also you can actually go from the StudioX, or if you go to project and open project folder, this is where it redirects you to. Right? So this is where it redirects you to. I've already saved files which the bot will be using, and I've created another folder called output where the bot will be putting the files. So if you go to the files folder further, you can see there are three kinds of files. One is a text file, and
your screen sharing is stopped. Can you check once?
Okay, is it visible now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I guess let me show you again how you can go to the project folder. Once you click on the project and when you go to the project folder, this is where you can see all your project related files. I have kept the files which the bot is going to use in a files folder, and the output from the bot will be coming to this particular folder, which is currently empty. So coming to the files, you can see there are three kinds of file. One is the Word document, which is called as performance reviewer document template. which looks something like this. Okay, and then we have another file called employees file, where all the employees data have been saved in this particular format. So all the personal data of a particular employee has been saved in an Excel in various rows. So for example, John Smith, his full name, position title, location, and direct manager are information stored in the employee Excel. So for each of these employees which are there in the the employee Excel file, we have further two more files, which is called the projects file and the feedback file. So if we see in a Word document, what all we have to put first is the full name of the employee. So in the employees file, my full name will be coming to this particular place. And then we have other areas in the Word that has to be populated from the same Excel, which is the full name, location, position, title, and direct manager, which is there in the form of the columns in the same file, right? So robot has to pick for each row from each column, pick these values and put it here. So this is our first task to be done by the bot. And then we have the direct manager feedback. Now for each of these employees, which is there in the employee Excel, we have a feedback file, which is there. So we have 3 rows, which means we have 3 employees. So similarly, we have 3 Excel files for each of these employees named by employee name _ manager feedback. So this is how the file looks like. So we have to read this particular Excel and put the data inside the direct manager feedback session. So this is where the data from the text file will come. So this data was coming from an Excel file, and this will be coming from the text file. Now under the projects, again, for each of the employees, which is there in the employee Excel. So for each of these employees, we have the project details as well, which is again in some another Excel, which is there in your file section. So if you say for Albert, you have the project details. For John, again, you have the project details. And this is how the project details file looks like. So again, you have the whole table. So you have the tabular data that you want to copy and paste it into the Word. So this is where the project details will come in this particular template. So your task right now here is for each of these employees, copy the data from various sources. First from the Excel, then from the text file, paste these values here and save this particular template with that particular employee name. So this is what we are trying to automate right now. Let's see the various steps that we are going to perform. First is set up the project folder and get the necessary files. We have already done it. In the project folder, I have created two folders. One is for the files, where I have all the mandatory files which the bot requires, and I've also created the output folder. So this part is done. Next is add the Excel with the employee data to the project and iterate through the rows in the file. So next thing what I have to do is iterate through each of these rows from the employee Excel. So coming to the StudioX again, I'll go to the Excel card because I'll be interacting with an Excel file. And I'll use a use Excel resource because I want to establish a connection with one of the Excel files. You can double click or drag and drop, anything will work. Now browsing the path, if you go to the file section, now you can only see all the Excel files, right? So we will be using the employee Excel file. Done. And now let's reference it as the employee data because we'll be using so many Excel files. So let's name it so that we can know what we are using and where we are using. So I'll rename it as the employee data. So inside this Excel file, now I want to iterate through each row. So for that, we have an activity called for each Excel row. I'll put it here. As we discussed in our previous sessions, the scoping is very important. So this for each row should be inside your resource. If you are going to put it outside this particular block, which is use Excel file, this will give you the error. So the for each Excel should be within the use Excel file. This is called the scoping. Now for each row, your current row, as discussed earlier again, current row implies your current index. So your second index, then your third, your fourth. So for each of these iterations, your current row will be, so in the first iteration, this will be your current row. In the second iteration, your current row will be this and this. So now in what particular sheet you want to iterate is where you can actually employee here. So sheet 1 in the employee file. In the employee file, sheet 1 is what we are trying to read. So again, this is done. And then I'll say it has the headers. So this is to tell the robot that your first row is header. It is not the data. So you have to check it. So this is done. Now see our next step. Our next step is add the template Word file to the automation. Coming back to the StudioX. Now I have read the data from the Excel file. Now I'll go to the word card and use the use word file resource because now I want to interact with the word file. I'll bring it here and then give the path of the template, which is in the files. And then you can see only Word document is here, which is the performance review document template. Open it. So the bot will be coming to this particular template. Now, one more thing to notice here is we have to uncheck the save changes because we do not want to save the changes in the template. We want to use this as, something as a template. We will be putting the data and saving it later. So just like you have in the Word, right? Save and save as. So we'll be using the save as instead of save. So that is why we are unchecking this part. So now while you're using the Word file now, so now you are interacting with this particular file. Now, what you have to do is you have to put the values here and in these 4 bookmark areas. So first, let's use one of the activities called replace text. Okay. So what is the text that you are trying to replace? Search for, I want to replace this particular placeholder, full name, right? So I'll say search for full name, use text, and replace with what value? So you want to replace with the full name column value, right? So in your current row, go to current row, full name column value is what you want to replace with. So here it will replace the particular value of full name with your value from the employee Excel data. Now we have to fill these 4 values as well. So there are 2 ways actually to manipulate the data in a Word file. One is you tell the robot to replace the text because you will have a kind of placeholder to tell the robot where to put the data. So this is where you see and you use the replace text activity. Okay. But now if you do not want a placeholder to be there, then you can use a bookmark activity. So you will bookmark that particular area and then you can use the set bookmark activity to set the value on a particular area in a Word document. So this is what we are trying to do. So this symbol implies that these areas has been bookmarked. So for now, we will use another activity called set bookmark content. Okay, so the bookmark name is, you give your bookmark name, go to text, and again mention the bookmark name. Save it. And now what is the value that you want to put? So you want to put from your employee sheet. And okay, so this is your full name. So again, the full name column value is what you want to use. So bookmark text will be your current row and full name column value. This is done. Now, similarly, you want to do for all of these 4 or the other of the 3 values. I'll use the same activity. I can again use it from here. So the bookmark name next is the location. And go to text again. What is your bookmark name? And my value is in the current row and the location column. Again, I'll be using the same activity. And this time for the position title bookmark area. Here, so I'll go to text and the position title bookmark value should be from the employee Excel current row and the position title column value. Then I'll also use one more same activity to set the value of direct manager. So the direct manager bookmark value, again go to text and put the bookmark name here. and your bookmark text will be from your, again, the current row and the direct manager name. So what we have done till now is we have set the value of full name here. We have entered the value from the employee Excel in full name, location, position, title, and the direct manager. So these are the activities we used. In the Word file, replace the text, also set the bookmark content. Full name from the current row full name column, location from the current row location column, and the position title from the current row position title column, and again the direct manager from the current row direct manager. So we are done till here. Now the next step is add information from the Excel file with data about projects to the Word file. So now coming to here, we want to enter the project details, which is in another Excel file. So we saw, right, we have another Excel for each employee, and there we have the project details of each of these employees. So now this is what we are trying to put in a Word file. So for this, inside the same, for each row under this particular scope itself, I'll use one more Excel resource. So coming to the Excel resource, now I want to use the file which is related to the projects of each of the employee. So let's pick John Smith projects, open this particular file, and let's reference it as projects. Okay. So yeah, now we have created the connection with the projects file. Now we want to use the tabular data of this project, and we want to put it in the Word file, which is here. For this, we have an activity in the Word card called Insert Data Table in Document. So from here, you will be getting the whole file content in the form of a table, and you can put this value inside the Word using the Insert Data Table in Document activity. So I'll drop it here. Again, we have to take care of the scoping. Inside this particular project file scope, we have to put the data. The table to insert will be projects sheet 1. Sheet 1 has a table called table 1. So here, if we go in the projects file, this is sheet 1 and this is table 1. So we have directed the bot that we want to read. We have actually read from here, and we are just putting it inside, insert data table in document. Now insert relative to, where in the document you want to put. So let's say relative to the bookmark. And what is the bookmark? A bookmark is projects. So I'll go to text and say relative to this bookmark, and then position where you want to insert. So after this particular bookmark, I want to insert. So this is done. We have actually read the whole project details, which is there in a tabular format in an Excel file for a particular employee, and we are putting it into a Word file. So this particular activity, copy the tabular data in the Word file. Now, the very basic mistake that we do is we have only read the John Smith's file. So for each of the employees, only John Smith's file or the project file will be picked up and copy pasted. What if we want to make this dynamic, right? So to make this dynamic, we have to go to the text portion. And this John Smith is actually the full name of the employee. And my full name of the employee is already there in the employee data Excel file. So I can pick the full name from this particular column. So I can make this dynamic by using current row full name. So this is how you can make your file reading very dynamic. So again, for each of the row, that particular employee name's file will be picked, and then the tabular data will be picked, and the data will be inserted in the Word document. So we are done till now. Here we have done the project details, the personal details have been filled, this has been replaced. The last thing is the direct manager feedback, which is coming from a text file. So as you can see, the last step is add information from the text file with the manager feedback to the Word file and save a separate file for each of the employees. So now I have to read the data from a Word file, sorry, a text file. So this is done. Coming to the files card, you can see there is activity called read text file. Put it here inside the same scope, and then the file name would be going to the files folder and say John Smith's manager feedback you're picking. And then once you read the data, you want to save it somewhere. So go to properties section and output 2 you can see, click on the plus button and say save for later use. And just name it with whatever value you want to, say manager feedback. So once you read the data from this text file, the data will be saved in this particular name called manager feedback, which you can use later in your automation projects. So click on OK. Once you have read the data, now you want to put it inside the Word file against this particular bookmark. So again, use the same activity inside the Word card called set bookmark content. Bring it here, and your bookmark name is direct manager feedback. So this is where you have to put the bookmark name, and your bookmark value is coming from this particular text file, which we actually saved in manager feedback, kind of variable. So you can go here plus use saved value, and you have a manager feedback here. So you're reading from this text file and putting the same content in the Word file against a bookmark called direct manager feedback. So we are done with all these steps. We have actually filled this particular whole template, right? And now we want to save this template with that particular employee name. So also one more thing to notice is in the read text file, again, we are picking the same employee. So every time John Smith's manager feedback will be mentioned anywhere. So what we can do again is make this dynamic, go to the text section and remove the John Smith's name. And instead of this, make it dynamic with your current row data, full name column value. Every time the name changes, even the bot will be picking the same person's file underscore the manager feedback, which is a constant among the whole path of the file. So once you save it, this is done. Now the last step is save document as. Now you want to save the document. So bring it here. And now these are the various options in what all the formats you can save. So these are all the formats which you can save this particular Word file. We will keep the Word document as it is. Save file as. So give the path where you want to save. We'll choose the output. In this particular output folder is where we want to choose, and say the file name can be feedback. Right. Again, one thing to notice is for each of the employees, the file name will be feedback. To make it more meaningful, again, we can append the employee name here in the path of the file also. So we'll use the same trick. So after the output, put your cursor here. Then going back to the current row, full name, and you can put the underscore here again. So your file name would be under the output folder, and your file name underscore feedback, and this is the extension of your file. So yes, we are done. Let's quickly see the whole workflow that we created. Initially, we were reading the employee file, which has the various rows for each of the employees. So here we are reading for each of these rows, and we are reading the sheet 1. Inside the sheet 1, again, for each of these rows, we are creating a Word file. So to create the Word file, we are using a predefined template, and we are putting the values in that particular template. So we have to uncheck this, call save changes. Now inside this, we are using the replace text activity if you already have a placeholder where you want to replace your text with. So we are using the full name text and to be replaced with your employee's full name. Again, we are using set bookmark content activities if you want to put the content against your bookmarks in your Word file. So we are putting the personal details using this particular activity. So we are done.
After that, we are filling the project details of that particular employee. For that, we are creating a connection with another Excel. And this is where we are reading the project details. The data will be in the tabular format. So to paste the tabular data, we are using the insert data table in document activity. So this is where we are taking the data, and against a particular bookmark, again, the bookmark name and the position, we are mentioning it here. So yeah, this is where how we are putting the project details. Now the third one is we are reading the manager feedback from a text file. So yeah, here we are reading the manager feedback, and against the bookmark content, we are putting the value. And then we are saving the document for each of the employees. So we are done with 6 steps. If you're using these, kind of activities in a day-to-day life, and you're doing something in bulk, StudioX can be really, really helpful. Let's run the file and see how it goes. So this symbol implies that your robot is running. You can see the values have been filled in the Word document. Okay, we have encountered an exception. For each Excel row, use Word file, inserted a table document. Stop the robot. Let's close all the files before running the robot. Kind of good practice. Last run failed, so let's run it again. Okay, so now the bot has run successfully. So yeah, we saw one of the good practice is to close all your files, which the bot is supposed to use before you run the robot. And if you go to output folder, you can see for each of the employees, the 3 feedback files has been generated for Albert, Jane, and John. And if you open these files, okay, so the full name is Albert again. Here there was a kind of mistake. What we did is we did not remove the previous files from the previous run. So that is why it has used the same files, and it has appended the text instead of putting it again. So that is why there are duplicate values. And then we saw in the direct manager feedback from the text file, we have all the values. And under the projects, we have the whole tabular data right now here. Similarly for the other employees as well, we can see the values for the Jane this time. And again, the manager feedback and the project details. Similarly for the John, we'll have the John. Again, these values is coming from the previous run. So we should have been actually deleted the files and rerun it. So yeah, these are the files, and these are the values coming from the text file, and this is coming from one of the other Excel file. So that's all about how you can, automate day-to-day simple task, which involves Microsoft Word with the powerful activities which are there in the StudioX. Again, you can see there are furthermore activities to play around with the pictures. You want to replace a picture, you want to put a picture, and if you want to save it as a PDF. So yeah, these are the certain activities that can help you with the automation further for the Word related. Over to you, Lovely, again for the recording part.
Thanks, Nidhi. Thanks for taking up for the word automation. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so as of now, we have seen automating the flow in the StudioX by drag and drop. We have a powerful tool in the StudioX, which is App Web Recorder, a recording tool that you can record the steps on the screen and tool will create workflow for you. So you can find the App Web Recorder in the ribbon itself and you can start recording the steps. So if I go over here in the StudioX interface, and this is the designer panel. In case if you're working with the lower version of the StudioX, lower than 2020.10, then you will have to ensure that you enable the recorder from the project settings. So for me, since it is the updated version, it comes as an UI automation modern. Whereas in the lower version, you will see that there is a tab called UI automation next, and you will have to enable the recorder over there. So this is just a prerequisite for in case if you're working with a lower version of the StudioX. So you can automatically start recording the steps by clicking on App Web Recorder. Okay. And as soon as you click on the App Web Recorder, you get a window and it has a few functionalities like you can start the recording directly. And this is the place where you get the recorded steps. So let me just show you a quick demonstration. So let's try to record the login page of this Acme system portal. And I click on start recording. Okay. As soon as I click on start recording, it first shows or highlight the blue window where you actually have to capture it. In case if the window is not appear, again you can press a magic key F2, which will give you the few seconds as a timer to make your application in the foreground. So for me, this window is already appeared. I just click somewhere in the screen. Now I will guide the bot that what it has to do. So let's say that I want to type an email in this particular field. I can directly show the target, which is of green color, and then click somewhere. It automatically captures the anchor. So in the previous session, we also saw what is the target and the anchor. Let me reiterate again. So the target is the green color where the bot is expected to type. Okay, it is the element where the bot actually has to interact with. And in the blue color, it is called as an anchor. It is a reference name that can help the bot to identify the this target. Okay, so bot automatically captures that what action could be required in this particular field, and that's why it has given a pop-up where it is looking for some value. So it has identified it is a type field where user should expect to type in a value. Okay, so let's say I provide a dummy value as of now. Okay, now I click on confirm. So after providing the first value in the field, I can go to the pause in case if I would like to, go to the next item. Otherwise, you can continue as well. And in the right hand side, you see that in the recorded steps, the bot has actually captured the two activities in a flow. First, it has captured that it is using a browser edge, and then it has captured the portal name or the portal details. The second, it has captured what activity I am asking the bot to do. The bot is expected to type in an email. So that's why it has captured the to flow. Now, to start again, you can hit the start recording button and then instruct the bot to do the next step. Let's assume you do not want the bot to choose the exact what I am expected to do. Instead, I can choose the actions. So when you show over here the target green color, you see there is a plus icon, right? And which maximizes and gives you a lot of options. So there are different actions that you can actually record. So you can get text from any particular portal. You can type in to an application. You can hover over any element. You can perform click. You can highlight any item. You can select any items. And even you can perform check and uncheck on the check boxes with the help of recorder. And along with that, you can also take a screenshot. So these activities, you will actually find it in the activities panel as well. But this recording will make your automation more faster. So recorder is not doing anything different than what we have learned so far by dragging and dropping. But you will see that it is much more faster when you automate. Okay, so let's instruct the bot to type in. So it has actually showed the pop-up that what value you need to type in. So let me just type something. In case it is a password and you would like to go into toggle password mode, you can switch like this. Okay, and then click on confirm. Let's say that I have now captured some wrong flow. I do not wanted to click on the forget your password, but I wanted to click on login. So you can delete the actions as well. So in the right hand side, you see that the third activity after which is after type into password, something as click forgot your password. So you can also delete the actions which has recorded by mistake and then you can continue further. This way you can log in to any application with the help of recorder. In case if you would like to return to studio, then you have to click on the save and return to studio. However, let's consider a scenario where you are working with a multiple applications and you would like to show the particular window, the portal of the application, and then continue with the recording. So in that scenario, you can use change the application, okay, and then start recording the actions. So you see, after I click on the change application, it is actually asking which window you would like to automate. And this would be the another application window where you are looking forward to automate. Okay. There is one more feature which we have as an input methods. So we already saw in the previous session that by default, it is something as in hardware events, which is captured by the UiPath recorder. However, if you would like to work with the foreground and the background actions, then you can choose simulate as well. Okay, so I do not want to do anything as of now. I'll just click on pause and then save and return to studio. After I click on save and return, I actually see that our entire workflow is created with the activities which we have already seen, that is use browser where the browser URL is mentioned, and then type into activities to type in the username and the password and then perform click. So this way you can record the actions in your application as well with the help of app web recorder. Okay, so this was about the app web recorder. The next we have as a data extractions. So in case if you would like to extract some data, which is a structured based data from any browser, applications, document, CSV, you can make use of data extraction recorder as well. So we have a separate activity called extract data table that can help you to perform as such. Let's explore the data extraction recorder in the StudioX. So in the updated version, it has been renamed as a table extraction. So do not get confused with a data extraction, table extraction. It works the similar way to extract the highly organized data with a defined structure. Okay. So to see the demo of that, let's proceed with a use case so that we can explore more on this feature. So we have already seen the login to Acme Test UiPath.com portal. So this is a portal where we actually logged in. So let me just show you first what we are trying to extract the data from this portal. Okay. So if you go to this work items, if you click over here, you see that there are, this is the structured data which bot is expected to extract. And there are multiple pages of data available here. So in case, so prerequisite would be to automate this use case, you have to register in this Acme Test UiPath.com portal. Okay. And in case if you do not find any work items in this work item category, go to the user option, reset the test data. Okay. Then you will see that there would be few work items available in this category. So let's try to automate from scratch with the help of App Web Recorder along with data scraping as well. So what I do is go to the blank task, give a name to it, and in the previous session we also learned about how to get the credentials using the get username and password activity. So let's use the same activity to pass in the user credentials inside an application. So this is an activity to use the saved credential which is saved in the credential manager, Windows credential manager. So I have already Acme login credentials available. I can use the save for later use so that I can use the reference username and password in the applications. So this activity will help me to retrieve, get the username and password. Now start with the app web recorder again. Okay. And I hit the start recording function. Indicate the window where I would like to automate. And then I showcase the email field where bot is expected to type in. Right now I'll just give the dummy name because this name would come from the get username and password activity. So you can always parameterize the activities which it has been recorded. Okay, and we will see how it can be done. Click on confirm. Now I go to the password, provide a dummy password, and then click on confirm. The next, I would like to capture login. And here you go. So let me just pause it for now and save it so that we will try running the bot by after parameterizing it. Okay. So we have captured the get username and password to get the credentials. We have captured the browser, the portal where the bot is expected to log in. Now in the type into, it actually has to type the username, right? So I go to the plus section and instead of this SDFF, which is the dummy value I put, I clear the value and then I go to the use saved value section, credential from get username and password, and this is the username. So this data is actually coming from the previous activity. You see, it's saved for later as credential from get username and password. Okay, So here I get the username. Similarly, I will ensure that I get the password with the same way. So first I will clear the value and get the password. Save it. Let's run the bot. And now it gives a pop-up that where user is expected to click OK if the username and password is provided. Click OK. And then it types the email and password. Okay. After that, we will see that whether it has logged in or not. So yes, it is logged in. And now it has to click on the work items and extract the data. So to do that, I go to the recorder again, or since it is a one activity, we can directly add an activity over here and indicate the target on screen, which would be the element that has a work items, confirm, and that's it. So after this, once the bot clicks on the work items, it has to extract the data, right? And now we will use the another feature, which is table extraction. And to do that, you click on the table extraction. After clicking on the table extraction, it gives an option and instructions. Open your browser, application, or document and navigate to where you want to extract data from. Okay, so this is the window where we actually have to get the data from. I click on next, and then it says hover the mouse cursor over a data source field and click that field. Okay, so let's click on the next. And now if you indicate or if you try to click on any one of the rows, bot will actually understand that you have performed a click inside the table, and that's why it could be able to extract all the columns from the table using this way. So you click on yes, and then here the entire data has been captured with the different columns. So we can also see that in the below it mentioned as maximum number of results 0 for all. So in case if any particular application you would like to fetch a specific number of results, then you can provide the count. But in case if you would like to get all the number of results, okay, then you have to ensure that you give 0 as a value. And we also see that there are few columns which are empty, right? So you go to the edit data definition and just ensure that in case if you do not want any empty columns, you can put 0 instead of 1. Similarly, if you do not want any column name specific, then you can also remove the value 1 to 0 to get rid of this column name, which is actions, WIID, description, type, status, and date. Okay, so as of now, I want the column name, but I do not want the empty columns. So now I click OK. And after that, I click on finish. It asks me an option whether data on multiple pages are required. So if you would like to do a data spanning, then you can choose yes. However, if you want to get the data from only one page, you can choose no. So now you have to click on the yes. Okay. And here you have to indicate which is the next link indicator. Like which option will actually help you to go to the next page. So you have to ensure that you choose that particular element as an indicator. So let's consider an example where you are actually surfing for in a Google page, that time there we do not find this as an indicator. Maybe next as a word, you will see something as a link indicator that can help you to go to the next page. So you have to ensure that you choose this indicator as an option to do the multiple spanning. So just a note, you need not show the element that is a page number. Instead, you have to ensure that you have to choose the indicator. Okay. So this way, I was able to extract the data, and now either I can save for the later use, or I can directly store it in the, let's say I want to store it in the notebook, project notebook itself, and then I can use it in the Scratchpad. Okay. Consider a scenario where you would like to save this entire data in an Excel, then it's better to use the use Excel file activity, and then provide a name to it. So let me just create a dummy Excel file here. Test. Okay. I'll just give a name, Excel to store data output. And now I can drag this table extraction activity, and then instead of notes Scratchpad, you can actually store it in the Excel also. Okay. So this way you can actually extract the data with the help of table extraction activity. So let me run the bot. So right now this file is not available in the system. It is going to create if not exist, and then it is going to paste the data over here. So let me run it. I click OK. Yeah. So there are multiple pages. So it is going to each pages and then to. Okay. So here actually it has taken the data only from 1 to 2, first to 2 pages. It has not actually clicked on the other pages. So we'll have to ensure that we give the delay as well, so that it can reload and go to the next page. So let's see the detail results for now. And this is the test file where it is created, and this data being put over here. Similarly, you can perform the data extraction in the other applications, whether it is SAP or any other application, or the PDF where you are actually trying to extract the data, structured data, with the help of the bot. Okay. So this was all about the recording and the data extraction. Any questions? Okay.
So we have
So
4 more minutes. Maybe if you have any question, maybe let's Please feel free to open it. So guys, any question on with Nidhi and Lovely for recording and what session? Okay, so I think there is no question and
So we have a next meetup session on the 13th March. It is related to PDF and the PPT automation in StudioX. So in case if you have not registered, please register for this particular meetup. And feel free to connect to us for any queries which you have so
just to
far.
add, Lovely, I think this particular 13th March date is modified. It is on 16th now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
13th is on Saturday, so that's why it got modified. So it is on 16 and the next one is on 17th. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Thanks, Shishira, for reminding. So the next session is on the 16th March for the PDF and PPT automation. So you can go and refer from the community event page itself, and you can enroll to an RSVP.
So there's a question from Andre. Maybe if you can just take that. What is the difference between various options with UI framework trying to record? Yeah.
Okay. So if I show you here from the UI path, the recording. So in this particular tool, we can see that if you click on this enable full configuration of the target, it actually tries to capture the exact configurations with the default recording feature. Okay. So in case if the certain element is not visible with the default technology, then you can press F3 and try to uh, indicate that element as from there. So let's say that I want to click over here and it has not been captured properly. Okay. So in that case, you can press F3. So, and then okay, let me do it again. So in this, I think this in this version, we have got this two features only. So we do not have the technology feature over here, like how you actually dragged and drop, and there was a feature, right, for the settings part. So this is not available in this app web recorder. Sishira, do you want to add to it?
No, that's correct. And just to add one point is you have this UI next. This is when you use the upgraded version, the multiple things are combined into this. So you have a fuzzy selector, you have all different selectors combined. So like image selection and all. So whenever you have started recording, the various properties get applied. So maybe if you can, yeah, exactly. This is a section. So here you have all this mechanism being applied there. And whenever you indicate any target, for example, if you go to indicate any of the target.
Yeah. So here actually I was showing in case if certain element is not being captured in the app web recorder with a certain framework, then you actually do the customization, go to the respective activity, and then ch- press the F4. You can change the UI framework, and then you can extract the properties or select the element accordingly. So
And
this
just
way you
to
can
add, like
customize.
the way it works is most of time it will work with the default, but based on your type of application, sometimes let's say you are interacting with some legacy application, it's not exposing correctly the selectors and all. So in that scenario, you can change this framework so that it get best fit on those areas. So yeah, so as Lovely mentioned, some cases it might work, but some cases you might need to change the framework to see which is working correctly for you.
Yeah. And this can only happen by customizing it after the flow has been generated by the app web recorder.
Yeah, that's true. And you, as you rightly mentioned, is because of your application underlining technology. Some application may best fit directly to your default UI framework, but some application maybe it's not exposing the certain restriction the way it is defined. Based, let's say, one legacy WPF application is not working. At that time, you have to change those UI framework to see which is best fitting. So it's definitely if we by default you see some application is not responding, that time you go and change by F4, change the framework and see if it is some alternate can work there. Yes, that's true. If it not work with default, then you can go with other scenarios to best fit. Good question. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, so we are over 2 minutes, and thanks, Nidhi and Lovely, for having this great session. This is really good one, and thanks all for joining in.